Have you ever looked at your plate and wondered, is this food even real? That tomato, too perfect. That corn, identical to the last. If your food was made in a lab, not grown in a field, would you still eat it? We're diving deep into one of the most controversial topics in modern agriculture, GMO versus non-GMO. Because behind those grocery store labels lies a battle for your body, your beliefs, and your future. What is GMO? Let's start with the basics. GMO stands for genetically modified organism. It means the DNA of a plant, or sometimes even an animal, has been deliberately altered in a laboratory. Scientists insert genes from bacteria, viruses, or other species to create traits that wouldn't naturally occur. Think, corn that produces its own pesticide, soybeans that survive being sprayed with weed killer, or tomatoes that never rot on shelves. GMO crops dominate the global food supply. In the US alone, over 90% of corn, soy, and canola are genetically modified. They're in your snacks, your cooking oil, your breakfast cereal, even baby formula. Now, let's talk non-GMO. These are foods that have not been genetically engineered in a lab. They're often grown through traditional farming, crossbreeding, or natural pollination. Many non-GMO foods carry a certification label, but here's the twist: non-GMO doesn't always mean organic. In fact, some non-GMO crops are still sprayed with synthetic pesticides. So while they aren't genetically altered, they're not automatically clean or chemical-free. Confusing, right? That's by design. Why were GMOs created? GMOs were introduced in the 1990s with one promise: to feed a growing population. Engineered crops were supposed to be more resistant to pests, more tolerant to harsh weather, and more productive. Big biotech companies like Monsanto marketed them as revolutionary. And at first, they were. Farmers grew more with less land. Yields skyrocketed. Supermarket shelves filled up. But then, the cracks began to show. Health concerns and safety debates. Despite industry claims, the safety of GMO foods is still under debate. Supporters argue they're no different than traditional crops. But critics point to studies showing potential links to gut inflammation, food allergies, hormonal disruption, and even antibiotic resistance. And while short-term tests may seem safe, long-term human studies are limited, if they exist at all. The World Health Organization says GMOs are not inherently dangerous, but that each one must be individually assessed for risk. Translation? It's a case-by-case gamble with your health. Let's zoom out. The impact of GMOs doesn't stop at the dinner table. Many genetically modified crops are designed to withstand glyphosate, a chemical herbicide better known as Roundup. And guess what? Roundup has been labeled a probable human carcinogen by the WHO. It's been found in air, water, soil, and even in human breast milk. GMO farming also encourages monocultures, vast fields of a single crop, making the land more vulnerable to disease, pests, and soil depletion. Meanwhile, pollinators like bees suffer from pesticide exposure. So while GMO technology may help feed more people, at what cost? So, does that make non-GMO automatically better? Not quite. Non-GMO foods aren't always free from chemicals. They aren't always more nutritious. And they can be just as industrially farmed as GMO crops. That said, many people choose non-GMO to avoid unpredictable genetic alterations or to support more traditional, regenerative farming methods. And here's something shocking. Some non-GMO crops may still come from seeds created using mutagenesis, a radiation-based technique that also alters DNA, but doesn't require a GMO label. Let that sink in. Global policies and public awareness. Around the world, the debate rages on. Europe requires mandatory GMO labeling and bans most GMO crops. Africa is divided. Some nations embrace them, others resist. The US? Loopholes allow many GMO foods to skip labeling altogether, rebranded with terms like bioengineered or hidden under vague ingredients like natural flavor. In many places, The fight over GMOs is as much political as it is scientific. The real difference? So, what's the real difference? GMOs are engineered. Non-GMOs are natural, mostly. One is driven by tech and profit, the other by tradition and caution. One may feed more people today, but the other may protect biodiversity, soil health, and long-term safety. Ultimately, the question isn't just, is GMO bad? It's, what kind of food future do we want to create? One controlled by chemical giants, or one rooted in health, transparency, and balance? So the next time you shop, take a closer look at what's in your cart. Because when it comes to GMO versus non-GMO, the truth isn't just in the label. It's in the science, the soil, and the story behind your food. If you want to go deeper into this rabbit hole, hit subscribe. We've only scratched the surface.